Talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness, keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. At the table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Check out Reverend Bill Miller's Bible Study radio broadcast live on the new STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please listen in and support him as he joins the realm of broadcasting to encourage believers and offer the comfort of God to others across the airwaves. At the table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Also, feel free to contact him for prayer, counseling, and conversation at brobill9608@yahoo.com. That's BROBILL9608@yahoo.com. At the table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Yes, this is a PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
STMK Radio 100 is a subdivision of Kickback Entertainment Production. STMK Radio 100 is a licensed podcast web station in the state of Ohio with a music royalty license. We reach over 1.4 billion users in Google Play. Online, listeners can listen in their cars if you have the 4G wireless chip, TV mobile devices, computers, and on our radio station mobile app, Android and iPhone compatible. We have 24-hour online radio cloud server. We are in over 35 markets and 17 cities on internet radio. We are up on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube. We do streaming TV, Ustream TV, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Instagram Live. We are up on internet radio platforms such as Vimeo, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Webcast, and Speaker.com. Come see us at stmkradio100.com or stmkradio100 at AOL.com.
Good evening. I'm your host, Sean Hale, and welcome to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. Tonight, we're going to finish up our part two of the East Cleveland debate of what was going on. Last show we had, the 4112 guy was there, and also we had the ex-council president, Tommy Willard. We want to hear from a young man tonight that teaches young black males and talk about the kids that he do work with as he teaches them graphic design and how they feel about walking around in the city of East Cleveland and dealing with all the mess and the structure that they have. So that's going to be a good thing there, hearing from Jamal.
That'll be real awesome. I'm happy you got him coming along.
You're right. We also going to hear from a young man running against a longtime councilman in Ward 7. And he's going to tell us what he's going to do to bring the city of Cleveland back. Then we're going to go back into the Red Room and hear from a well-renowned author of the book, Stranger Among Strangers, Pastor A.J. Thompson.
I'm looking forward to that.
And you all should also know him by the coordinator of Get Smart in the Park here in the city of Cleveland at Luther Easton Park.
And that's not Getting Smart in the Park, that's
Get Smart in the Park. You can have both. That's over in Luther Easton Park, so it's okay.
But, Sean, we don't want people getting smart in the park.
But I'd like to welcome to Studio 51 with me today, sitting in the funny chairs, always holding up the world, Doug Million.
Where he at? Where he go? Where that cat?
And in the Red Room, we have two special guests, and I just told you about one of them, Pastor A.J. Thompson and Pastor Cheryl Thompson has came into the Red Room to be with us tonight. Thank y'all both for coming in with us. And later in the show, my co-host, Tone the Stone, may show up and help us out a little bit up in the air. But we're going to hear from a young man tonight right now who has some very serious concerns about the city of East Cleveland. And he has some concerns about the kids, the unknown victims in all of this situation that is happening with the kids walking around in the wasteland, having to go to school. Nobody's looking out for them. So we want to hear from this young man who's mentoring our kids. His name is Jamal Collins, and we're going to hear him in his own words.
I can't rest. I work in East Cleveland, and to me, it's in a state of an emergency. It's entire streets that's abandoned. My kids, I teach kids in the inner city, and this is my way to work every day. And I can't help but to imagine that these kids have to walk past this area to go to school, to come to my program, and it saddens me. I don't know what to do about this situation. It's just baffling that it's entire streets that's abandoned. For those who don't know me, I'm from East Cleveland, Ohio, and I went to Shaw, graduated in '89. I want to say that in the '90s, mid '90s, drugs, crack cocaine really destroyed this area. It just ran rapid through here, and this was almost like the Carter from New Jack City. I mean, it's like a dangerous place to be at. Even now, I wouldn't advise to come down this area. I was just wondering what was going on, because every time I come past this area, it's like pitch dark when I'm coming down here. So it's no street lights working down in this area. So it's just like baffling to me again. And I'm just like wondering what's going on down here. So I had to try to come down here a little earlier to see what was going on. And to my amazement, and what you guys see, I was just blown away. I happened to be riding around on the weekend with my family, and my family was absolutely terrified to come down in this area. So it was just like a little minor ghetto field trip, if you will. So again, it's just absolutely crazy that this may be the worst area in Cleveland that I've ever seen. I want to say in East Cleveland, it's at least one out of every 5 houses that are abandoned. So this is completely insane. Um, so I don't know what to do. I don't know if people should just come together and write to um, City Hall, call some type of government officials and find out how we can get some type of income to level this stuff off and just make it into a big uh, football field or something. I don't know. So this is Marlowe Street, and this street actually is the same street that the police station, City Hall, and the fire department is on. And on this street alone, it's abandoned houses and landfills with tires and trash and just stuff is just like crazy to me that this is going on. Um, and I guess the whole point of this video is for me just to talk about the impact and the change I'm trying to have with the kids in East Cleveland. I teach graphic design for those who don't know, and just trying to get the kids to see a brighter side to coming up in conditions in this environment. So I mean, I'm just here to just spread the awareness to these kids, and the reason for this video is to spread awareness to the community, the people that follow me on Facebook and on Twitter and those type of social networks. So um, again, just sit back and watch and view, I guess, my way to work. Please leave comments, like, share this, spread this word, so maybe this video can make a change. Um, Thanks, and see you later. Peace.
Now that was Jamal Collins right there,
Wow.
a teacher from East Cleveland, talking about what happens with our kids and how he deal with our kids, and our kids are walking through this mess, and they're the unattended victims of all this. Talking about East Cleveland, we had that show last week, Pastor. You joined us with it,
Yeah.
and the chat room came back to me. There was a we talked to an activist. I'm sorry, everybody. I got your emails and I got your texts, and I got. I want to thank everybody for sticking with me and having my back. And Facebook Live and our social media just joined up with us, and I'd like to thank all y'all for coming on. Also, uh, we're not even going to mention
We're
that
in the
gentleman's
ghetto
name.
today, my friends.
Okay.
We're out here in East Cleveland,
And there
one of the poorest regions we've ever
go.
once.
With the other one, I'm sorry about that. East Cleveland came right back. The control room. We got to
East
disconnect.
Cleveland reaching out.
Yeah, we got to disconnect from the control room. Okay,
Cleveland
there we
reaching
go.
out. They really
We
need
back
some help
again.
over there.
Jamal is very concerned about our kids, and we should also be concerned about our kids. As I said, they're
Yes,
the unattended victims of all this, and if we don't do something about this, Doug, this is going to get really, really nasty.
It's gonna get ugly.
This can come back and hurt everybody. I mean, this can harm a lot of people, especially with our kids there. And Pastor, what you think
Not
about
just the area.
that young man that he just cried out for help with?
I think there is help, but it have to be people who are willing to participate in that. And we're talking about these kids, but I heard no mention of the parents. There's some parents, they need to care about these kids. There's some uncles and aunts and grandmamas and granddaddies that need to care about these kids, because when they begin to care, they'll make the change. There's nobody to call. He was asking, who can he call? There's nobody. All the people that need to be called live in East Cleveland.
That's correct. As we said before, when Tommy Willard, the ex council president, was on, and when that 411 guy came on and betrayed himself as an investigator, we talked about the community has to do this.
That's right.
We had investors come in. We had talked to a lot of people. He took it personal, but it's not personal for me. Okay, I'm a graduate of Shaw High School, and I grew up in East Cleveland. So it breaks my heart to see the city like that. But the investors in them said that they wouldn't invest a dime in East Cleveland with the way the city management is set up. Okay, and they have to go. They spent over $1,000 doing recalls when they could have recalled everybody at one time.
Well, I actually think that's a plus that they didn't because if people come in and go to spending money in East Cleveland, that means they're going to own East Cleveland, not the people who live in East Cleveland. So the people in East Cleveland going to have to find another
Need to
place to
step
live.
up and find
But
another way.
remember, Pastor, the one guy told us the investor told us that East Cleveland is already on the west side is already to be taken over. But that situation turned really, really ugly in that interview, and some people
But you
took it
did
to
a
the heart.
wonderful job, Sean.
Yeah,
You
I
did
let
an
him
awesome
finish.
job.
I let him finish off what he was talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
But we don't take cyberbullying here, okay? And
Not at all.
first, I'm used to it when I first got into internet radio broadcasting shows with the neo Nazis when we talked about Trump and how they trolled me, okay? And it was real nasty. Then it was Bernie and Bus people that trolled us and was real nasty.
Y'all need to know I got Sean's back. Y'all better
So
leave him alone.
no, my people pretty good. But I see Pastor why East Cleveland is all messed up because I see from all the activists,
Hmm.
the political people, and all the people that's in East Cleveland. They all saying the same thing. Nobody can sit down and agree to disagree.
Right.
Okay, either you on my side or you're not on my side. And
Either you with me or you against me.
and you said that. I think you said that also. They didn't want to work together.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly
I
what I
mean,
said.
part of what people don't understand, the best leader is a person who's willing to follow. You can't be no good leader if you can't follow when the time comes, because it don't need 20 different leaders or when it only requires one or two. But
Right.
everybody can contribute to what's going on.
Right. Because it sound like to me everybody got a bunch of great ideas, good opinions, but ain't nobody actually stepping up to do nothing.
Right. I would
Well,
like to welcome Facebook. Not to cut you off, Pastor, but y'all can go ahead. We on two different channels. Facebook,
yeah, it's
Gerald
more
Hall, Fred. Thank
my
y'all all
idea
for
better
coming
than
in.
your
Facebook,
idea stuff, you
YouTube.
know.
Showing
Exactly.
us
I
some
mean,
love.
it's,
We
you know, we
appreciate
gotta
it.
we gotta come together. We gotta stand up together, and we gotta figure out a way together. But we gotta do something.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to do something because I mean, everybody's talking a good game.
Well, it started with a simple thing like picking up paper. I
What?
mean, I went over to East Cleveland City Hall a few times and seen paper. I even pick up a piece of paper in my way. When the people who work there won't even pick up a piece of paper or
Mm-hmm.
see the grass growing
Mm-hmm.
around City Hall, that it looked like an abandoned place.
Yeah,
You know, that got a lot to do with how the citizen and resident think.
and I agree wholeheartedly with you with that because I mean, if somebody would just start somewhere
Mhm.
and get your little community group together, get your street group together, get together one weekend when y'all ain't doing nothing else. Go out, pick up some paper, pick up some cans. Go to one of them little sites that they call in a
Well,
dumpster or a dump
But
site
not
and
only
clean
that,
it up.
as the pastor said too, that he had programs where he was talking about doing something, and then if a party come up, everybody went the other way. So
Oh yeah.
it really comes back to the priority of the people in the city of East Cleveland and what they want to do. And the city government is so messed up right now that it has to end. But we want to talk about something from the chat room that we had lawyers in there, and the last thing we talked about, they gave us that we couldn't get out. That they gave us that. What happened is let's talk about first how the mayor Brandon King was able to go past council's appointments and everything. And basically, what it is that from the statement from the law director, council failed to properly hold a meeting under the laws of the East Cleveland Charter, which means that three or more councilmen have to be present before a meeting can be officially done.
Okay.
One of the councilmen left, so that
Mhm.
only left two,
Party came up.
right? And then they conducted city business without the mayor, the law director, and that councilman there. So the mayor ruled it illegal, and council didn't do it in enough time to the 30 days to make their appointments.
The mayor of East Cleveland
Right.
ruled it illegal.
Well, the law director did, and
the
then the
law
mayor.
director, and
By,
then and so it was, and he okey doked it.
right. So by the East Cleveland Charter, council had 30 days after the recall to make the appointments, and they failed to do it in 30 days. properly.
So
The mayor made the appointments himself. Now,
Jeez, oh
now
man.
Well, we have to understand too that the government can't be no stronger than the people are.
that's correct.
We talked about
We
that
we are
last
the
week.
government. We talked
Yeah.
about that. Correct.
We the people, for the people, of the people,
Now,
and by the people.
what's turning out from that, lawyers that are in our chat room right now and sticking this out to us, the lawyers said what should have happened to the newly appointed council people, that if they feel that the mayor was wrong, they should have filed a suit in common pleas court. Okay, but they didn't file in common pleas court. They took it up to the appellate court,
Hmm.
and the appellate court may wait until after the election 6 months from now.
So if they had a went to the lower court first, what would have happened?
The lower court judge could have made an emergency decision
Okay, so he
or
could have,
ruling.
so to speak, declared a state of emergency.
Well, no, what he could have did was ruled the mayor's actions constitutional
Constitutional
or unconstitutional,
okay,
and he could have put the people that was appointed back in office.
okay.
Okay, or he could have issued an injunction allowing council to properly follow these Cleveland charters.
So they choose to do what most folk try to do, go over somebody's
Well,
head.
Well, that's what I see now why they doing that, or how that happened. Because you forget, we talked to the guy last week. Okay, so we know where that's going.
Well, I don't remember the exact wording, but in each Cleveland charter, it provides for all the
Well,
solution for
Right,
such
right.
as
Well,
that.
well, I have the charter right here. Okay, and the charter clearly says Section 98, the council power organization. It clearly states right here that a forum must be 3 councilmen or more, and to conduct any council business, all the councilmen and the mayor must be present or must be called into a quorum. And the oath of office must be ministered by the mayor prior to any councilman taking office. A call to order, the roll call, the election of the president of council, election of vice president of council, remarks of councils, and remarks of citizens, then adjourn. The chairman of the meeting must keep notes, and the meeting should be called to order until the new council president is elected and conducted by the mayor to be sworn into office. So there go the charter, people. Remember, my thing is do your own homework and go into the charter and read it so you can understand. The second thing we wanted to talk about that we really started the heated conversation on was the illegal dump that the city sold to the Arco recycling facility.
Right.
I reached back out to the EPA after that conversation and to make sure that I wasn't getting it wrong. But the EPA spokesman clearly states that EPA Director Greg Butler issued a notice of violation and ordered Arco Recycling to stop accepting construction debris and demolition debris and to remove acres of waste from the land. And they did that because he didn't have the proper permits to operate the facility, and he didn't have the proper permits to eliminate the gas that was emanating from the site.
Okay.
And he was supposed to have somebody take all the metal.
It was supposed to separate it.
Right, he's supposed to separate it. That's why they closed the dump and
I mean,
issued the order.
they make us do that. They make us do that at home.
we're-
Separate your plastic from your paper,
Right,
from
now,
your glass, from your metal.
Arco has filed an appeal on that one, and that appeal hasn't been heard yet. But what I wanted to say about everything about that was, for the people, was that nobody's contacted lawyers for class action suits, and lawyers from our chat room and lawyers outside the city of East Cleveland is saying that Arco Recycling is a LLC, which means that their money and their business is only as good as the company.
Right.
Okay,
Limited liability company.
right. You have to start talking to the lawyers and getting your stuff in line, especially trying with your doctors and them to show that you didn't have this illness prior to them moving in, and you got the illness after they moved in. All that is needed, and you need to go talk to a lawyer, and everybody should be lawyering up. I think Eric Brewer, the 57 mayor candidate, should be telling everybody to get them a lawyer
You need to do a
and go with it.
campaign and release a statement about that. And folks, go see your doctor. Keep all your doctor's appointment. Keep records. Follow up. Like Sean is saying, follow up. Follow up.
Now the third,
Call a lawyer. Contact a lawyer.
Right.
Talk to your doctors.
And
Get
go up
together.
in it.
Y'all need to start getting together and have a community meeting.
And
I mean,
they have
I'm
to
talking about the
understand.
residents in
Yeah.
order to understand this, or have the so-called advocate come in and talk with y'all about
No,
this.
no, leave him alone. We not going to even
I
cover
wasn't talking about him.
because the chat room's on fire. Gerald Hall, what's up? Welcome from Facebook.
What up, chat room?
Our chat room tells us stuff, and I thank the chat room for the information that you send me on that individual. I'm going to try. I don't believe in tearing
Yes, y'all is so
down
helpful.
black men's, and I don't believe in trying to hurt somebody. So we're not going to talk about
Oh,
that
no, I wasn't
situation.
talking about tearing
So-
him down, but I mean seriously.
No,
they
I'm just
need to-
telling the chat room. The chat
Okay.
room's on fire.
Then cut it out, chat
So
room.
so
Y'all
we're gonna
need to
let that
just
go.
Quit it. Just stop.
Only
Just
concerns I
stop.
have, Pastor, on that, I'm gonna say this is
Mhm.
that the city of East Cleveland is putting females in jeopardy by allowing him to walk around saying he's a reporter or an investigator. And remember his words. He was going in single females' homes and other females' homes who were scared to talk to the public officials about their problems.
Right.
Okay, and he's a felon, and that East Cleveland need to stand up to the plate on that one.
Right.
I think they need to let them ladies know because I believe that those 80 and 90-year-old ladies, if they knew that he was a felon, they wouldn't be letting him come in their
You
house
know
by
they-
himself.
You
okay?
know they wouldn't have that.
So we're going to leave it at that. But East Cleveland, you need to step up on that. And I thank the chat room for giving me that information because without you, we would have been promoting him live on internet radio across the country as being a reporter and a activist trying to help people. And without you telling us what was going on so we can alert the people.
So thank you very much, chat room.
Now, the
Well,
third.
I think the people really need to step up. I do want to say one thing that he said last week. He said that people live over there was old, and so somebody else needs to do something. Them being old and suffering from that, nobody else is going to step up. It's to nobody else advantage to step up. You have to be the one who step up. And then I want to say, you
Be
talking
the
about the
elders. Take the
meetings that
lead.
they have. Yeah, they do need to have a meeting, but they at the same time, East Cleveland need to have less meetings and more work.
Right, more action. Actually, I think what they need to do, they need to go out, as I told them last time, they need to get the bright and minds of East Cleveland and the people that live there and lawyers and have somebody come in and do it for them. They're
Chat-
not capable of doing it themselves, so they need somebody to do it for them.
One of you young folks in chat room, I'm technically challenged. Somebody go out there and make a GoFundMe page for East Cleveland. Y'all making a GoFundMe page for everything else. Folks getting a GoFundMe page to get the dog fixed, to get the nails done, to get the hair did. Somebody do a GoFundMe page for East Cleveland.
Now, we're going to finish off right here with East Cleveland because we're going to lead that to the other thing we wanted to talk about. But we're not going to talk about the East Cleveland situation with Senate Bill 342. Remember last week we called it House Bill 154.
154, yeah.
When it went to the Senate.
Sorry, y'all.
Right, when it went to the city, it changed to Senate Bill 342. And basically, our lawyers, again, in the chat room, has informed us that in Lucas County, which is Toledo area, the common pleas judge ruled the state of Ohio new law unconstitutional.
Which law?
The red light law,
The
or
red
red
light
light
law.
cameras.
That's unconstitutional.
Right, that the state cannot tell Toledo how to enforce their laws in their city.
But they can tell East Cleveland.
No, I'm going to go to that.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
Now, down about what, Pastor, what's that? Dayton's what, about 25, 40 miles, 50 miles down the road from Toledo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In Dayton, the appellate court, 6th District Appellate Court, who has jurisdiction over Dayton, ruled that the state law was constitutional. Okay. So now you got two rulings in the state of Ohio on one law. Okay, so what happened was the Ohio Supreme Court took up the law. Akron sued the state of Ohio, and Cuyahoga County, a couple of cities, sued the state of Ohio. But East Cleveland signed on as a friend of the court because they couldn't afford to sue the state 'cause they didn't have any money.
Okay.
But no court that has jurisdiction over Cuyahoga County has issued a ruling. So a spokesperson for the Ohio Supreme Court has informed us after we reached out.
Hey, wait, hold on just a minute.
Go ahead, Pastor.
The part you said about East Cleveland sided with the court because they didn't have any money.
What they signed on as a friend of the court.
So don't East Cleveland have an attorney?
They have a city, right? A city. I don't know, law director,
Yeah, law
right?
director.
But they don't have the money to pay for the filings and all that other stuff they claim. So they signed on as a friend of the court, and
Shouldn't he?
Okay,
I
East
think I
Cleveland
see
could
what
have
you're getting
filed
at.
under a poverty affidavit
A
for
poverty
the city
affidavit or
and continued their case.
if I agree with that,
or that law director could have did it pro bono for them,
right?
right?
But this is my thing again, as I said, somebody need to do it for them because they are not the brightest minds in the two shed. Okay, so that means
I say,
if
I say,
if they're not getting federal funds and funds filed for the citizens and grants, that money is sitting there for them. Remember, the state of Ohio said there's money sitting there. Nobody has filed for these grants.
Can I say this on your radio show?
Go ahead.
That the
STMK
people,
100.
you the people of East Cleveland, need to get up off your behinds and go to the state of Ohio website and look for all the money that's available. There's business startup money available. There's money available to help people that are already business to restructure and hire people to help them work to redo their businesses. There's all kind of things available, but you have to file for them, and you have to set up yourself a
And that-
nonprofit in order to start for them or set up a business and have a federal ID.
And that website is ohio.gov.com.
There you go.
ohio.gov.org.
But
ohio.gov at AOL. Y'all know, you know what? Y'all can Google everything else. You can Google black chicks fighting on YouTube. You can get out there and Google this stuff. I mean, it doesn't take much of an effort to get the ball rolling.
that's right.
Somebody's got to get up and do something.
And they got people available to help you fill out any form that you don't know how to fill out.
Well, we're gonna do that right there, everybody, to let you know that until the Ohio Supreme Court make the ruling on the red light situation, the state of Ohio is not enforcing that law or they're doing any penalties. But we're gonna take a break right there, and we're gonna go pay some bills, and we're gonna be right back. But before we do that, I'd like to send a shout out to our Girl Scouts troop 71803. Sold out all 3 of their cookie booths, and they sticking with us. So let's give them a little love, and then we're gonna go to break.
All right.
When you buy delicious Girl Scout cookies, girls embark on great adventures. Explore exciting careers. Gain important life skills. Dream big. Face their fears. And so much more. That's right, your cookie purchase equals amazing experiences for millions of girls just like me.
We're here asking people from all over what they think of Lipton green tea. Let's hear what people from Texas have to say. How about China? Germany? How about people from the North Pole? Or Mars? What about mimes? Oh, right. People with their jaws wired shut? Oh. Yeah, a barbershop quartet. Oh, you guys are great. How about race car drivers? What about you, high school glee club, here on a field trip? Well, that settles it. It sounds like everyone loves the taste of Lipton green tea. With its protective antioxidants from real tea, it's not just good for you, it's to you.
Man, I dig inner monologues. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, look, a fillet of fish just sitting here in my mind being all delicious. Hey!
That's my sandwich.
What? How did you get in my inner monologue?
Door was open. Give it back.
Man, get your own invisible sandwich.
Any day is a great day for a Filet-O-Fish sandwich. And right now at McDonald's, you can get 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches for only $3.33. For limited time only, prices and participation may vary.
Listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100, 100, 100, 100.
Hey, Sean, did you know that 15 of 17 members of Cleveland City Council are circulating nominating petitions to get their names on the ballot for re-election? All 17 seats on Cleveland City Council are up for election this year. More than 30 other would-be candidates also are circulating petitions. Candidates must collect at least 200 valid signatures from registered Cleveland voters and file their petitions with the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections by June 29th if they want to appear on the September 12th municipal primary.
Now, we're going to talk about Ward 7, though. Doug, tell me who's running for Ward 7.
Well, in Ward 7, Sean, you've got T.J. Dow, a lawyer member of City Council since 2008. He's completed petitions have been validated by the election boards. Then you've got Daniel Graves, Robert L. Helfin III, Bashir Jones, community activist. His completed petitions have been validated by the elections board. And then you have Demar L. Sheffey, a law school graduate. His completed petitions have been validated by the elections board.
Well, you hear that. And tonight on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100, we have Demar on the telephone with us. Demar, welcome to the show. Hello?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate for having me on.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We got you right there. We want to let you know now you are Facebook Live, YouTube Live. You're on internet radio, and you're going across the airways right now. Demar, we like to ask you a couple of questions, but before we do all that, why don't you tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, once again, hello. How's everybody doing out there? Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. My name is Demar L. Sheffey. I graduated from Notre Dame College of Ohio with a political science degree. I recently graduated from Western Michigan University Cooley Law School. While I was attending law school, I was the executive director of a nonprofit organization, and that our focus was on children. I co-founded an event, an 8-week curriculum geared towards middle school students that talked about the criminal justice system. And they also did a mock trial during graduation week. So they were and that they had the ability to show us what they learned over the 8 weeks, from lawyers to taxpayers to defense attorneys to judges and to witnesses, detectives, and etc. And I've done various other projects in the city, and now I'm focused back on to Cleveland.
Okay, Demar, are you listening to us live, Ustream TV or internet radio?
No, my campaign team is.
Oh, your camp. Can you just have them turn your audio down just a little bit because we're getting your feedback from you. Just a little bit.
Okay, how's that?
Okay, thank you very much. We sound like you're under a fishbowl. For the people who don't know, Ward 7 sits in the area in the city of Cleveland and runs from the historical Huff District well to as to St. Clair Superior area, Motown, and the Asian town neighborhoods. And there's a sitting councilman that Demar's trying to unseat who took over for the late, great Fannie Lewis is Councilman T.J. Dowles. And, Pastor, you probably know T.J. Dowles when he took over for Fannie Lewis.
I remember.
Now, Demar, we're going to ask you one question. We're going to keep it real here. We know you running against Councilman, and our chat room has some questions for you. And the first question is, what is your vision for the city of Cleveland?
My vision for the city of Cleveland is when everyday Clevelanders can afford homes that they can pay. Furthermore, my vision for the city of Cleveland is for Clevelanders to walk up and down their streets without the possibility of being shot. To make sure that Cleveland Municipal School District is the top-ranked school district in the nation, to make sure our kids have the ability to eat and they can go to school and have good education system. I see Cleveland as a small business giant. I believe we can start bringing in small business here to Cleveland, and I want to cut the unemployment rate down here in Cleveland down as low as possible.
All right, that sounds good. Wow, that sounds like a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you're up to the challenge, and you're ready to fight for it and do what you got to do. Can you go a little more in depth on the plan to deal with these with the violence in the streets and the children eating?
Well, one thing that I've learned is that you can have big, bold ideas, but you have to have a stepping stone or a cornerstone. And one thing that I like to say that I have about myself, and one thing that my family raised me on, was leadership, having the ability to start at point A and get all the way to point Z. So with violent crimes, with the juvenile, I worked with the Cuyahoga County Public Defender's Office, Cuyahoga County Juvenile Public Defender's Office, where I was an extern, and I was there working with the youth hand in hand every day, getting to understand some of the alleged crimes that they could have or could not have committed, and talk to them to see what was going on. And from that perspective, it starts right there. We have to start with the youth. We have to start to see what's going on. Why or why not are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Talking to other groups, talking to people who want to start a small business but don't know how to start a small business, talking to individuals who want to hire people, how to help them hire people. So it starts with talking as a grassroots movement. Everything starts at the grassroots level.
Well, Demar, let me jump in here right now, and our chat room is really fired up here, and I have had contact with you before, so I know you got the email prior to coming on to the show, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we was on the same page right there. But there are some very serious issues that you're going to face as a councilman coming on to the council right now. And we just did a series for the last two shows over the city of East Cleveland. As a sitting councilman, you're going to have to make a decision on how we're going to help East Cleveland either get merged with Cleveland or how we're going to deal with that situation. Have you not to throw anything to you, but what would your vision be to get East Cleveland either stabled as a city or as a ward with the city of Cleveland?
That's a great question, because that's something that I hear about and talk about with everyday citizens to this day. And it's a big topic that's going on in the city with unemployment and the violence. Well, East Cleveland had beautiful homes a few years ago, decades ago, mansions, the streets were nice, and etc. it comes back to leadership. I co-founded a small business, rent-to-own real estate, and the object there is to educate homeowners and educate future homeowners on how to go about buying homes, how to take care of your property, what's the best way to get the tax breaks on this home, and how to go about certain things to bring back the community. It starts with home ownership. The blight that's there in East Cleveland now is some of the problems that we as a community have in Cleveland Ward 7. There's streets that have complete abandoned homes, and these homes need to be tear down or need to be rebuilt or reorganized. I know you guys heard about the young lady who went missing a few weeks ago and who was found murdered in abandoned homes. These homes are providing a danger to our youth and providing a danger to us as a society. We need to take care of them, and we need to help educate and help inspire others to go and buy these homes, because once people become homeowners, that means our public school systems get better. If our public school systems get better, the crime rate goes down.
And you're 100% on that. The second thing we want to ask you about is another big issue that's right now forefront in the city of Cleveland that Mayor Jackson has to answer. That may cost him the races running for the 57th mayor for the becoming the 57th mayor in the race, and that's police reform. With all the problems of the DOJ report in the city of Cleveland, with Steve Loomis and the problems with Trump, and the way the community feels that the Cleveland Police Department is an occupied army, and the problems they having with the Police Community Review Board, my question to you as a sitting councilman, or if you get to the safety committee or for your colleagues, how are you going to change that image of the Cleveland Police Department around to where everybody respect them as being first responders and not a occupied army in Beirut?
Well, once again, it all starts with leadership. However, our police force, the CPD, try and do the best job that they can do. We shouldn't have to throw our police force under the bus because they are our first responders. If something was to happen to me right now, the first number that I will be calling is 911. But that's not to say that there are problems within the organization. And the problem starts from the top of leadership. This is our second police decree that we've had right here in the city of Cleveland. That's not the everyday beat cops or the cops who ride in their cars problem. It's coming from leadership. Leadership needs to address the situations that our cops have, because our police officers have problems that they are addressing to leadership. The community is also addressing problems to leadership, and nothing's being done. And there's a common theme right there. The public and our first responders are saying the same thing to our leaders, and our leaders aren't doing anything about it.
To our social media outlets, Facebook, YouTube, you hear this young man right here. He has some very, very clear views of where he wants to take our city, and this is what you've been asking for. People of Ward 7, I think you need to give this young man a look, just like we talked about Roland Mitchell, because we need a change. People that have been sitting on council for the last 30 years have neglected the citizens of the city of Cleveland for downtown, and a change has to come. And maybe, just maybe, everybody needs to look at this young man. But Demar, I got another question coming right out the chat room, and we're going to stay with you for a little bit longer because I like the way you're talking. The chat room wants to know, as a sitting councilman, you're going to have to make that vote on this $22 million brand new dirt bike track that I think is going to sit right in your ward. I understand that the kids need some, but the people that they're trying to target are, I want to say, renegade bikers. Most of the bikes that they are on are stolen off of Craigslist, eBay, or on Amazon, and then the one where they come back in. So, could this money be used toward a better thing, or should the bike track be there, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, first, I think the $22 million bike track is going to be built in the central neighborhood, and that's just outside of my ward.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
I agree with you. There was better ways that we could spend that money than on a dirt bike. A dirt bike doesn't provide food on the tables for low-income, middle-income people. A dirt bike, how is a dirt bike going to generate the city of Cleveland money? They just raised our taxes by 0.5%. they ask homeowners to pay a little bit more. And the first thing that when they ask to pay a little bit more, we see that it's going back to a dirt bike. A dirt bike that's not going to do anything, increase no property value. It's not going to do anything. So we have mismanagement of money, which always comes back to leadership. There's way more important things to be done. I mentioned earlier in this conversation that we have all of these blight homes in these areas, especially in my ward, Ward 7. And some of these people are in trouble by this. And the sidewalks, it's very hard to walk in the ward. Getting 300 signatures on the sidewalks, it's virtually almost impossible. So we need to relook at why are we building this dirt bike? What cost is it going? What benefit is going to have to the city of Cleveland? Because as of right now, there is no benefit. It's only hurting the city of Cleveland.
Okay, first of all, I want to congratulate you on having the courage to run for office because it do take some courage to do that. Secondly, I want to say, I hear you talking about the housing problems and all this. I want to know, if you're going to do all this when you get in office, why aren't you already doing something about it?
Well, like I said before, I just started a rent-to-own real estate company. Me and my friends, we have developed this company, and we're looking to buy our first few houses. Once we get those first few houses and educate the public, we're moving. However, like I said before, it starts with leadership. I have the leadership ability. I just couldn't come out here and say, I'm going to buy that house and give it to somebody. I had to go to the Secretary of State office.
I mean, you're talking about the nuisance houses. Why are you not already doing something about that instead of waiting till you get in office? Are you aware that being a candidate, you are already empowered to do something about it, both morally and legally?
Morally and legally, I can understand where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, as of right now, I cannot pass legislation. I cannot sit down with the multiple committees to do anything. I can stand up on the street corners and yell to the top of my breath all day, every day, up until election day. But until we get some funding or until we can inspire other young leaders who wants to make a change, that's where it starts at. So my role right now is twofold.
If you don't have funding for your campaign committee, don't have funding, you can file anything you want to file with a poverty affidavit.
Now, let me jump in here for a minute. Demar, the chat room really loves what you're talking about, so they want to jump into something here. And another question we want to ask you. Downtown has been receiving all the federal funds, and now they're talking about putting, I think, another $75 million into the Q Arena. What's going to happen to our neighborhoods if we keep putting all this money downtown in the Brown Stadium, the Q, the Indians, and getting the millionaires richer, and the community neighborhoods keep going down?
Well, one of the issues that I have is that downtown is just a neighborhood. Most people don't consider downtown a neighborhood, but it's a neighborhood. We have 16 other neighborhoods within the city of Cleveland. Those 17 united communities make up the city of Cleveland, which gives Cleveland its tax base. Yes, downtown Cleveland does have the stadiums, but right there in my ward, Ward 7, we have League Park. We have League Park, a park that has extraordinary history there. Babe Ruth hit his 500 home run there. The Indians won their very first World Series title there. So each of these 16 different neighborhoods have a unique perspective about them, and I think it's time for us to start using Cleveland as a whole rather than just one neighborhood in the city.
Demar, you know, that is the chat room is just overjoyed to hear a young man who's going to come in and take over leadership, hopefully in the city, and the vision that you have. And they're just got so many questions popping that we just can't take them all. But what I want to know is, we want to be part of your campaign to help you. So we want you to continue to send us emails. We want us to for you to let us know where all your campaign stops are going to be at. We're doing the Get Smart in the Park May 6th. And I'm going to ask the coordinator and the person that's doing that if we can get you up there. The man sitting right here, so he can come and
doors open.
Would you like to do the Get Smart in the Park with us May 6th at Luke Easton Park? I know it's not in your ward, but the citizens of Cleveland would like to hear your voice and hear the way you're talking.
It's a citywide event, so we'd be glad to have you. All I need from you is your information and an email confirmation that you'll be there to speak.
Is that something you would like to do? I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but I'm trying to get you to come with us because we like what you're talking about.
Represent Ward 7,
Well,
bro.
we do need new people. We need everybody. We need everybody replaced.
Demar, I know you yourself, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Is that something you would like to do?
You're fine. Thank you for the offer, and yes, I will be there May 6th. Just send me over the details of the event, and then I will respond with the confirmation email.
I will. I would, since I asked you, I will, because I'm going to be there also as a speaker, and I will email you all that information and get it to the coordinator. I got all your information already. As soon as you tell me that you're going to do it, I'll send everything over to the coordinator after I get your email back, and we'll do this. You know, Demar, this was really, really great.
Hey, Sean, before you let him go, I got one more question. Demar, I heard you talking about League Park, and a lot of historic things happen there. What are some of the things we can do to funnel monies back into programs to get like Little League Baseball going again, to get softball leagues going once again in places like League Park and Luke Easter Park and some of the baseball parks around the city?
We have all these young kids who are not working right now. We just need about 12 to 15 different types of coaches, and we could put it together just like that. And then we can get sponsors and work on uniforms and a must. As long as we have a plan, anything's achievable.
Yes, indeed. So what you're saying is we got to go back old school, and we got to start going to some of our local stores, and we got to start going to some of our local small businesses and get these people to sponsor the baseball teams like they do, and we got to find some fathers, some uncles, some young men, some of the older young men to step up and be willing to coach these teams and get these teams together and organize these teams, and then we can get the youth back to being youth and doing something constructive rather than doing something deconstructive. Yeah?
Correct. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations geared towards kids, and I love small businesses and local businesses. So we can get them back in the fold and build them up. There you go. That's how we kill 5 birds with one stone.
Well, Demar Sheffey, ladies and gentlemen, candidate for Ward 7. We're going to help him unseat TJ Dow. I want everybody to look at this young man, check out his platform. You heard him for yourself right here on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. And Demar, once again, we thank you very much for coming. We want to make this a regular thing, as we told Roland Mitchell and the other candidates. You are always welcome to speak on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We'd like you to come back and give us another interview, and we wish you all the luck, and thank you very much for showing us so much love and coming on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time. Thank you out there, the City of Cleveland, all listeners, and I'm committed to fix the 216.
All righty. Thank you. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, that was Demar Sheffey of Sheffey. I take that back. That was Demar Sheffey, Cleveland Council Ward 7 candidate. Welcome, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, and our Ustream Live viewers. We thank you for coming and showing us some love. But right now, we got to go out and pay some bills, and we're going to be right back because we have a treat in the Red Room. We have a man who wrote a nice book about veterans, and we're going to talk to you about that as soon as we come back on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
AP Radio News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Trump tweeted today, Kurt Cochran was a great American.
Our prayers are with his family and friends.
That is Press Secretary Sean Spicer at the White House. Cochran from Utah was among those killed in the attack in London yesterday. Cochran and his wife were celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary. His wife was critically injured. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility in London. The attacker has been identified as Khalid Massoud. The attack means more police patrols in New York. Here's the AP's Warren Levinson.
It is a familiar sight. After a high-profile terror attack anywhere in the world, New York, which is exquisitely sensitive to its status as a target, sends out an alert and patrols are stepped up. So there's a larger police presence at the British consulate and UN mission, as well as key transit terminals.
Everybody in New York needs to know that the NYPD, along with their federal partners, work hard. This is something that we're working on all the time.
Police Commissioner James O'Neill says there have been no specific threats here, but he adds, this is the sort of thing that keeps me up nights. Warren Levinson, New York.
The votes aren't there yet on the Republican side to pass the GOP health care bill. Illinois Republican John Shimka says the time is now to end the Affordable Care Act.
The public has judged Obamacare through a couple election cycles and has claimed failure. So we're on, as we call, a rescue mission.
A vote is expected in the House today. Sources tell the AP the State Department will recommend approval of the Keystone XL oil pipeline, clearing the way for formal White House approval. The lawyer for the suspect from Israel in the bomb threats on Jewish community centers in the U.S. says her 19-year-old client suffers from a very serious medical condition that may have affected his behavior. Police say the suspect is Jewish and a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen. The governor of Utah says he'll sign a bill that lowers the blood alcohol limit to most drivers to .05. This is AP Radio News. Home sales are going up fast.
It's the start of the spring home buying season, and Americans can't seem to buy new homes fast enough. Last month, sales were up 6.1%. That's nearly 13% higher than last February. Why? The job market's healthy, the economy's doing relatively well, and the prospect of rising mortgage rates may have persuaded some buyers to jump in now. The typical sales price of a new home in February was just over $296,000. Rita Foley, Washington.
Scientists in Germany are testing what is being called the world's largest artificial sun. It looks like a giant honeycomb with 149 spotlights. It's a device the experts hope will help shed light on new ways of making climate-friendly fuels. It simulates natural sunlight that's often in short supply in Germany at this time of year. I'm Ed Donahue, AP Radio News.
Napa know-how. The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how.
Hey, Thirst, can I try out a few Coke Summer sound effects on you? Yes. Cool. You okay with this? Yes. And this? Yes. And what about this? Yes. Ha! Gotcha there, Thirst. That wasn't sound effects. That was a Coke. I'm no longer thirsty. You're so out of here. Coca-Cola.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
And now back to John with the weather.
Yes, Andy. Tonight, a big storm. Storm this! Get the soccer offer from Pizza Hut and Pepsi. With every 2 medium pan Super Supreme, you get a real soccer ball and 4 cans of Pepsi for free. Yes, a real soccer ball and 4 cans of Pepsi for free. Yes, Pepsi soccer ball. Don't miss the Pizza Hut and Pepsi soccer offer. With every 2 medium pan Super Supreme, you get a real soccer ball and 4 cans of Pepsi for free. What about the weather, Eddie? Don't resist and call 19,000 now.
Hello?
Hello, sir. I hear you having problems putting together your new kitchen unit.
Oh, yeah, the instructions say that.
What now?
The instruction manual. It makes absolute...
Stop reading that.
Well, what would you suggest I use?
I suggest you use the fact you're a man.
Huh?
Guys who got pride never relied on no guide, sucker. I'll give you some step-by-step instructions. Buy Snickers, remove wrapper, bite chocolate, and get some nuts.
Go to GetSomeNuts.tv for more Snickers man coaching.
You've been tuned in to Stop the Madness, keeping it 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone.
But you can't hear from God then. You can't hear from God when you got 5 other people saying, well, this is what I would do. Yeah, but remember, they're not in that situation. Who is? You. Amen. And when they tell you that don't work, that's a poor fool. They're going to be the first one. I wouldn't have did that. But you said do it. But I wouldn't have did it. I was just telling them. I wouldn't have been in this situation. They say things like that. But at the situation room, you get to hear from God. You get to hear God saying, you saying I was doing all this and I was doing all that. Who required this who required this of you? I didn't. You hear God saying, I didn't. I didn't require you to buy a new dress every Sunday. I didn't. I require that you have renewed thinking. I require that you stop behaving as though you were poor, as though you had nothing.
Welcome back to the show, Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. I'm your host, Sean L., and in the Red Room with us tonight is the esteemed author of A Stranger Among Strangers, Pastor A.J. Thompson is here with us, and by his side is Pastor Cheryl Thompson, as always. And we're going to hear from that pastor today. He's the coordinator of Get Smart in the Park in the 2017 Spring Truck Giveaway. And you can get a ticket up to 10 p.m. March 31st. And there's only going to be 1,500 tickets sold, so you need to go to that website and get those tickets. I got mine, so that means I might be the only one to get that truck if y'all don't get involved in it.
I need somebody out there to loan me a couple.
But I'd like to welcome you tonight, Pastor A.J. Thompson. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Pastor Cheryl Thompson, you are welcome also to the studio with us here on Stop the Madness.
Hi. All right. Well, Sean's going to turn the mic over to me. And ladies and gentlemen, I was given the assignment and the task of doing this interview, and I was giving the book that was written by Pastor A.J. Thompson. And first of all, I want to welcome you, Pastor.
Thank you.
And I want to welcome you, Pastor. And she threw up the peace signs. Y'all can see that on the live stream. But for those of y'all that can't see it, can only hear
that means hi.
Peace signs. She threw them up. That means hi, hello, and all that sort of good thing. But I was given the task of reading this book and doing this interview. And I have to say, Pastor, it is a true honor. After reading the book, and for those of you who do not know, the name of the book is called Strangers Among Strangers by A.J. Thompson, and it's through the eyes of a decorated armed forces veteran. So we're not talking to just a pastor. We're not talking to just a preacher. We're not talking to just a man. And I understand, and I hope that after this interview that some of you will understand a little more clearly what I'm saying. This really touched home with me. I am not a veteran. I'm a citizen. I'm your average American citizen. As a young man, I did not serve. I was not allowed to serve during my time. I would have been drafted, but I was not drafted because I was my father's baby boy, and I was the last one with the name at that time, so I was not allowed to be drafted. And furthermore, my mother said that because of what my father went through, she wouldn't allow me to serve this country. And again, this really touched home with me because my father was a two-time war veteran. He was World War II and Korean conflict. I also have my oldest nephew's father served this country. I have a son-in-law who now serves this country. He's an Air Force mechanic, and I know several other people. But until I read your book and met you, I didn't have a very clear understanding of what we were dealing with as a people, what we were dealing with as a whole. Because before I'm that guy, I'm the first one to come up to anybody in uniform, whether it's a police officer, a security guard, one of our first responders, or someone who served our country, to shake one's hand and say, thank you for what you do for our country. And I had no clue, none whatsoever, as to the insight as to what someone who has served this country must go through. And again, I'm gonna tell you guys, the name of this book is Stranger Among Strangers, through the eyes of a decorated armed forces veteran. And you got to get a hold of this book. The pastor's going to tell us how we can get a hold of this book. And I encourage you all to read this book so we can have a better understanding, because in the book, as I read the book, it talks about many things. It talks about PTSD, which is post-traumatic syndrome disorder. What touched me is how it talked about being a stranger amongst strangers, how family members, friends, and your own country, so to speak, turns against you when you come home. And your job as a veteran was to protect us at all costs with your life.
And basically still is.
And that's exactly what I wanted to hear, because it doesn't, once they come home, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't stop. it doesn't stop there, does it, Pastor?
No.
Can you give us some insight on who you were before?
Before, I was a country boy, strong, afraid of my own shadow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was afraid to step up to anybody, uh, anything like that. I kind of went along with the program, whatever, did what I was told. Um, I thought I was dumb. When I went in the service, I thought I was the dumbest person in the whole world.
Okay, how old were you when you now were you enlisted or did you join?
I was illegally drafted.
You were illegally drafted. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, the recruiter who drafted me is right at the end of the time for drafting people,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the end of the Vietnam era, so he needed to meet a quota, and so a lot of young black boys from down south were illegally drafted during that time. During AIT, they found out and gave us a chance to get out, but by that time, I had started to like it.
Okay, so by the time they gave you an opportunity to get out, you were already in too deep, so to speak.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were drafted?
18.
18 years of age. So you were still very much a young man. Did you come from a single parent home or?
No, I came from a two-parent home, and I had my grandparents in my life from both sides of my parents. I left home early, and then I went to stay with my grandparents,
Okay.
you know, and I was called during that time in between all that stuff going on at home.
So you were called in during that transition of becoming from a young man to becoming a grown man in those days.
Yeah.
Now, what year were you born, and what era was this in? I'm not trying to get you to show your age.
Now,
I'm
well, I don't have a problem with that. Uh, I was born in 1952.
Okay.
And then, but I didn't get a birth certificate until 1957, so that's what my birth certificate read.
Okay, and
Uh,
what part of the South were you from?
I'm from Butler, Alabama.
Butler, Alabama, and that's in proximity to
That's 35 miles from Meridian, Mississippi, 35 miles from Mobile, Alabama, and almost a little over 35 miles from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
all right, so that was very deep off in there, and that was back in '52 when you were born. So
Yeah.
this was in the mid to late '60s
Yeah.
when you were drafted. This was around the time where I was born
Well, it was in 74.
in '74. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was around 10 years old when this was taking place, and this was during the time when now. What war were you directly involved with?
Well, I wasn't directly involved with a war. I quickly got into special forces. I saw some guys with some berets on one day,
Mm-hmm.
and they was real sharp and real different. And for some reason, I wanted to wear what they was wearing, and I didn't know what they was doing. I wanted to do what they was doing.
Okay, so
So
you
I worked my way to get into special forces, and there's not much I can talk about that
okay.
because a lot of the things that I've done was security issues,
Understood. Understood.
but I've been involved in a lot of conflicts that unrecorded that most American people have no idea about.
Yeah, because you talk about in the book that when you come home, how do I say it? How you guys that serve, how you men
Mhm.
and women and family members that serve, once you come home, that you become strangers, and it's mainly because of what you did, how you were trained, what you were trained to do, and ultimately you were trained to protect your country, your family, and your life at all costs. Am I right?
Yes,
And so when you came home
with your life being last.
with your life being last, and that's that I remember that part of the book where you were saying about that was your job. Once you were trained up by the military, and you got to understand that, people, that when you go into the service, you don't go into the service, and I hope y'all catching this insight, and I'm hoping I'm doing some sort of justice, because it is truly an honor to be able to sit here before you, someone who has served this country in such a way. Because, like I said, my father was a two-time war veteran. He did World War II and he did Korean conflict. And my father was also a specialist. He was a Green Beret specialist. He trained animals for the United States government during the Korean conflict. And when my father came back, I can truly understand this stranger among stranger things, because even though as a young boy, I couldn't say that my father was a stranger, because to me he was just my father. And my father, I was an unwanted child. My father didn't want me. You understand what I'm saying? And ultimately, he wanted my mother, and ultimately, my mother divorced him because she no longer knew who he was when he came home. And I remember going through some things when we were children. We were treated very militantly. I have two sisters and an older brother, and I'm the youngest of four children, and I was the baby. And like I said, and I actually was his only child, because the other three were not his biological children. They were his stepchildren, and we were treated very militantly. When somebody did something wrong, we all had to line up. And we were interrogated until somebody told the truth. And my mother used to literally have to wake my father up from across the room with a broomstick. And sometimes she would go flying with the broomstick. And after reading your book and reading about the dreams and the things that you guys that take place in your mind, if you will, after you've returned from service to this country, and the things that you've seen and the things that you've had to done, whether they were classified or declassified, you guys went through, if you don't mind my saying, holy hell, to serve your country and take care of your country.
Well, the things I did on duty is a piece of cake to what I've had to endure since I've been out.
Let me ask you this question for you. Let me jump in for a minute here, Doug. Let me ask you a question here, Pastor, and jump in for a minute right here. When you came home, how did you recognize you was having a problem adjusting to civilian life?
Well, because one of the things is I had been on so many missions and using so many fake names and stuff when I actually had to pull out my wallet to look at my name to see what my real name was. That's when I knew I was having
You
a
had to
problem.
think, because in the chat room they're talking about, there is different types of post traumatic stress disorder. Some combat, and you said you didn't have combat, so
Yes, I
oh,
did.
okay, that's what they was trying
Yeah.
to hit to me. That's why I came in just to add. So yours was more or less your post traumatic stress was more or less due to the combat and the killing and everything that you've seen. Was it just coming back to a natural life adjusting, or was it you just couldn't get out of that killing mode properly? You understand what I'm trying to say? Is
Yeah.
where did you break that down at?
Well, it was the distance and the tension that I could feel between me and my family. I could feel that right off, that we was different. Even though my wife at the time tried to embrace me, it wasn't the same. I knew that it was something in between there.
Now, do you have children?
I have child, but I don't have any biological children.
Okay.
Actually, my first wife became pregnant with my son while I was out on missions.
Okay, and you talked about that in the book, which is why I asked that question. And that was a situation where you talked about how how you were treated when you were away in the service, or how other servicemen were treated away, how other vets were treated when they were away in the service. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? And I'm talking about the fact of how family treats you while you're in service and you're sending money home to take care of them.
Well, most of the time, our family, like at the time, my wife was young,
Mm-hmm.
and you young, you get lonely.
Right.
especially if your husband gone all the time, and you had a husband in special forces that can't never tell you where he's going. All he can say, "Well, I'm going on a mission." Sometimes you walk in the door and you get a phone call, you got to go right back out, no question asked, and it ain't no explaining. And for a lot of reasons, because in special forces, you tell your families the wrong information, you can have your family killed by our own government.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, so your family thinking you being difficult when all you doing is trying to keep your family safe.
Hmm. And how does that affect one going away to serve your country, knowing that at any moment you have to go without any notification, without any clarification to your family, and you return home to the soldiers welcome, you return home to the hugs, you return home to the parades, and then you turn around the next day and you have to face the cold-blooded reality.
Well, during it, I actually enjoyed it because I thought I was doing something to make where I live better and to make life for my family better,
Hmm.
you
What?
know, and to keep gunfire and violence from coming to the grounds of America. I I was motivated by that, you know. So every time I was glad when we went on a mission and we was over here and could actually look across the ocean and actually see the work that we had done
Hmm.
in another country. I was glad that America was at peace and had no idea what we had done
Okay.
in order to keep peace.
But let me ask you this question because I want to see it from another perspective. Because you know what?
Hmm.
Tonight, most people understand what the veteran didn't understand what the veteran was going through. But since we have Pastor Cheryl Thompson sitting here with us, I like to ask her a question, not to take it off of for you, but what were you going through when you seen Pastor Thompson come home, going through these changes? What were you thinking, and what was happening in your mind to adjust to this and try to find out what was going on with
Well,
him and
she
everything?
wasn't my wife at that
That's what I
time.
was going to say.
Oh,
When he
okay.
was going through this at this time, we were not husband and wife. I came in later on
Oh, okay.
But she still gets
in
some
the
of it.
picture. However, that's what I was going to say. However, there are still things I see that go on. There are still things that he deal with that I deal with because, like yourself, I share with him all the time. I'm just a civilian. That's all I am. So a lot of the issues, military type things, I know it's there. I know it's present. However, there's the only thing you can really do about it is to be supportive in it because I really can't go there with you per se because like I said, I'm a civilian.
Right.
What you talking about, what you did, what you feel, what you draw from, the ideal of I could never envision that.
Did he share it with you?
He shares it with
He
me.
shares it.
So
Okay.
all I can do is take that share as truth and try to be supportive in it. But I really and that's I think the difference between civilians and the military. We are not of the same package. That's where there's strangers among
That's right.
strangers
Right. We
come
can't.
in.
We don't understand what's going on,
Right,
what
because
they went through.
we're not of the same package. And if I could speak frankly, and I've said this to him, I really think it's unfair on both ends.
Correct.
It's unfair as a man that has served or a woman who has served to expect his family to join in and join arms with him and per se understand what they're going
Right.
through. You just can't.
It's like being in law enforcement. So you relate more to people who've done it with you or been through the same experience with you. But the question I want to ask, because I talked to some doctors from the VA, and for the people who listen in the chat room and on Facebook and listening to us on internet radio, here go 10 signs. And Pastor, you can relate into this, and then I'm gonna let Doug take it back. 10 signs that somebody's in trouble with post-traumatic stress syndrome is PTSD. Is they having physical pain, nightmares and flashbacks, depression and anxiety, withdrawals, they avoid people or circumstances when it's going on. They get possessive of material things or where they at, their area, emotional and numbing, hypertensive and aroused, irritable, and then they have guilt and shame. So was those some of your symptoms that you was having when you came back home that made you write this book, or?
Well, no, I wrote that book simply because I was motivated that I thought veterans and their families need to understand what we're dealing with. Because even though they have those symptoms, they don't know why.
Okay.
So, like when I first came home,
So
when I developed a tendency to kill, I stayed in the woods after I had hurt my family without being aware. I stayed in the woods so I wouldn't hurt them again. But to them, they just saw that as withdrawal.
right, and
They didn't understand. I'm trying to keep my family safe and alive.
right, and so that's what brought about the book, to bring insight,
Right.
to a better insight, a more clear
Right.
insight, a look inside the mind, so that we can try to at least try to understand
Right,
what
because
you guys are going through.
now, and most veterans, they can't, who deal with this, they can't just tell somebody that, you know, I can't get, I got this thing, I'm like an addict that need to kill. You didn't kill so much to it's just like you like an addict.
Right, and I can kind of understand where you're
You
coming
know,
from. I've never killed anything,
but at
but
the same time, you need to kill an enemy, not somebody that,
not a friendly,
right.
or not a family member. But at the same time, as I was reading in the book, the veterans sometimes feel provoked because of, and it's done not knowing by us, by the civilian, by the family member, because we try to do what's right, and it's so easy for us to hurt you because you
Right.
become a stranger.
Right, because if you don't understand, every single thing you do to help me will hurt me, will
Absolutely,
push me into that place where I'm trying not to be in.
and I'm trying real hard not to do that at this moment, at this time, because
Well,
I really do have a very clear understanding. But this is Stop the Madness, Keep It
right.
100, and I want to ask, how many years removed are you from the last time you saw combat?
1992.
Okay, and how today compared to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, how strong does it still affect you?
Very strong.
Very strongly. Okay, that's one to hear. And you've gotten remarried, and I want to ask, um, how solid, how has your wife become your rock?
Well, it take a miracle for her to be with me,
And
you
I
know,
understand that.
because I just started talking to her about this military stuff a few years ago.
Okay.
I mean, I was married to about 16 years before I even talked to her about that. And the first thing she heard of it when 9/11 happened and everybody wanted to put up flags, and she couldn't understand why I didn't.
Right.
And I couldn't because I related to us going on a mission and how we found the people that we needed to find by the flags that they put up
Okay.
in their country. So,
Let me ask you this: when you came home from Vietnam, because my brother was there also, and did you find yourself in financial difficulties and no programs to help you, or did the VA reach out for you? Because the chat room's asking that question about financial difficulties for veterans when they came home and the programs wasn't there for them.
well, when I got home, um, I went to file for my unemployment, and they said because I was in the military, there was penalties. I had to have extended time wait.
What about the GI Bill? Was that available for you at the time?
Yeah, but I didn't know much about it because they don't give you a lot of information about it when you get out, and I
Okay.
understand they still don't. Um, but no, there wasn't a lot of programs reaching out. There wasn't a lot of nobody reaching out. it's a lot of people doing a lot of talking about reaching out.
Can I say this too? From what I've learned and being with him in these situations, that a lot of these things that they say they have available for veterans, um, it's a lot of stipulations to them. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like you can just come in and say, okay, I'm a veteran, and they just give you your stuff. It don't work that way, which is one of those things I think is very unfair.
which would make things all the more difficult.
And as a veteran, because you already wrestling with situations within yourself, most times they just walk away and say, forget it.
Well,
So they leave all their stuff on the table.
well, let me say too, most of the people who actually serve time, when they first come home, they don't want nothing free.
Right.
We don't
Right.
want
You
anything
don't
free.
want to feel like you getting a handout.
But
All we
because
want is an opportunity to earn our way.
in the chat room again, we have some veterans there, and they sending me questions. That's where I'm getting them from. I'm writing them over here. When you came home and you realized that you had a problem to adjust, did other veterans from VA that might have had the same problems, did they approach you and tell you about support groups or help groups, or did they try to tell you, hey man, Johnny and all of us down here, come on down here and sit down with us?
No, most of the few veterans that I knew from home, they was pretty much isolated, and other people, it wasn't a lot of people who was in the military from where I'm was from during my time, and the one was my uncles and stuff. They was injured pretty bad from Vietnam at that time.
What branch were you in?
Army.
Okay. Somebody was asking your MO or whatever that MO. I guess that's your whatever your
Well,
military
my
status.
MOS.
Yeah, MOS. Okay, there you go. You know.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I had I don't remember the exact. I was artillery. I've been mess. I've been infantry, and then of course special forces. You carry multiple MOSs, and my last duty assignment was first sergeant.
Okay, and when you went to VA for your, have you been to VA to get treatment for PST?
Yes.
Okay. Did they try to tell you that when they was looking for your tests, that they had to say you had like 3 symptoms or anything, and then they tried to get you into a program where you had to come back and meet with them once a week or something?
No, my first encounter with the VA was when I had hurt my wife and son. I was so thrown by that. I went to the police station and told them what I had done and tried to get them, y'all need to lock this guy up because, me, because I've done this and I can't afford to do this again. And so they pretty much just thought I was just having a bad day.
Right. As our veterans in chat room just told me that there's two type of military PSD syndromes. One is combat, okay, and that's from people that's been in live fire and combat situations like you have, where it's possibly taking someone's life, and then the other one is just dealing with the stress of the military itself in situations like that. So what I'm asking is that what type of programs do the Veterans Administration have set up now for veterans that are going through this problem?
Well, not good enough. Most of the program that the VA have set up are programs from psychiatrists who've been trained in the civilian world who have no idea about what we're going through. And they're not going to learn it from most of us because most of us don't trust them enough to talk to them about it. And so, because for the simple reason that when most veterans talk to the psychiatrist about what they're dealing with, the first thing they want to do is lock them in a rubber room somewhere.
Well, that's what they train to do. They train to look for signs that you need to be detained.
So if your reward for trying to talk is getting locked in a room, that might happen one time, but that won't happen again. They're not going to talk to them anymore. I mean,
Absolutely.
like for instance, when I told a psychiatrist, and this was way years after I had done it, that I burned all my combat uniforms. And I told him, I'm telling you this so you might be able to help some other veterans. Because I realized that every time I put it on to do some work around the house, for some work clothes or something, I end up having a flashback.
Because that took you right back.
Yeah,
to
it
where
put me
you had
right
come
back
from.
there. Whenever I put that on, it was like me going on a mission.
Right, right.
And
And
so
I
when
noticed.
I realized that on my own, I pull all them things out and I burn them all. And the reason I burn them so I couldn't go back and get them again.
Because that part of you, so to speak, needed to die, so it couldn't take you back
Yeah.
to a place that you didn't want to go. And I know, as I read the book, you talked about a part about some of your brothers that
Yeah.
you went to war with.
Hold on, just
Go
a
right
moment.
ahead, Pastor. Go right ahead, Pastor. You go right ahead. Now I'm gonna turn this on to you, Cheryl.
Of course you
since,
will.
Since since the pastor had to take a break. Um,
I want to get on this myself. Chat room, we have my protege right here who got me involved in broadcasting.
Oh, no, you did.
Who had her own show. So we know we getting ready to get a good interview right here with Pastor Cheryl Thompson. Go ahead, turn it on, funny man.
You over there growling at him. you just want to shake him up. You want to give him shaking baby syndrome right now, don't you?
Okay, it is what it is.
Let me say this to everybody. She is the Sean Hannity of radio.
Oh boy.
She got it going on. Her show was really, really good. We're gonna try to steal her and put her here with us if we can, or at least get her back on the air so you can hear the show, because we are really missing a treat with her off the air. And with that being said, go ahead, Doug, and
all right, Pastor, I wanna Cheryl, if you will, I wanna get wow, okay, I guess I just have to go right to it. As the wife of a veteran, having to deal with what he's had to deal with and having to wait so long, 16 years before he even brought it out of the closet and brought it to you. How does it affect you as the wife, as the rock, as the best friend, as the confidant? Because I know I'm in a relationship, in a marriage, that's the wife is not just the wife. She's not somebody you just come home to and cook your meals and that. She becomes that confidant, that best friend, that person that's right there, and has to suffer every effect of what her counterpart goes through.
Okay. Hi, everyone. First of all, the word "suffer." I don't like that word. That's not a word I frequent.
And I respect that, and I apologize for putting
No,
it in such a way.
it's okay because I know what you mean by it. However, it's not that. Well, I'm a very spiritually strong based person. So everything is about what God has done and for me and what he does for me and how he continually just moves in my life. So that's the first thing. I'm not alone.
There you go.
I'm not alone. I feel for anyone who is, but I'm not alone. And really all I can do is be like a support. Cause like I said, cause I'm a civilian, so
Understood.
I don't want to insult him by trying to have some knowledgeable conversation about this, cause I don't have any.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So all I really do is try to be a support. Yes. Are there times where it's trying? Yes. There are things that in my personality that I'll do or feel or enjoy or like, but I know I have to think about it because my husband ain't there. He can't do those kind of things. So you do have to be concerned with, his
consistently.
For instance, I love the Cavs. I wanted to go to a game. That's not going to work for him.
Because something like that, and
large crowds, all that noise, and
big noise.
Yeah, flashing lights, and he can't do that.
A memory of combat.
So that's something that I have to then either find somebody else to go, or just kind of take it out of my repertoire of things to do.
Okay, or do you have to like get the blanket and put the blanket over the TV in your head and listen with the headphones?
No,
I'm just being silly right
yeah,
there. Just
yeah.
trying
No,
to
now
break
you
the
know, at
monotony a little
home
bit.
he's all right with that, but
Okay.
actually being there live, that
Not
wouldn't
so
work for
much.
him. And the first time I experienced it was we went to the Soul Circus. It's been a long time ago. You know, last time Soul Circus been in Cleveland.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say
Long time ago, and I didn't know. Like I said, at this time he hadn't really talked to me about all these things.
Okay.
And I couldn't understand why he needed to break camp at the Soul Circus. I'm like, well, what's going on? I'm kind of having a fun time. But once he started talking to me, and I think that's what helped him to start talking to me, because he knew things were happening that was leaving me with the blank look, like what's going on. So you know, you do have to kind of reconstruct your activity life, you know, in support your husband.
Very much so.
You just got to do it.
Very much so. Well, sure. I want to thank you very much for that, and I'm gonna turn the camera right back on you, Pastor.
Hold on, before you go back to the pastor, give us one more minute. Facebook, YouTube, we're talking with Pastor A.J. Thompson right here. He's the esteemed author of the book called Stranger Among Strangers, and he's documenting his military service and coming home and attempting to cope with civilian lives. And the chat room want to know, other than writing this book, and how many have you talked about this on other shows, and have you done any other work other than your first book? Or
this is the first book. I mean, writing this book for me, it's a difficult thing. I didn't write it because it was fun. I wrote it because it was necessary. Sometimes I have to read over it and edit it and redo it, and it breaks me down every time. It brings me pain.
So to the chat room, what he's saying is that when he came home, he observed that he wasn't military veterans wasn't being understood what they was going through. So he wrote a book, and here's the book. It's called A Stranger Among Strangers. You need to check it out, especially military people. Get it for your family and everybody, so they can get in touch with yourself. Especially if they got programs at VA. I'm gonna talk about a little bit at the back end of this, but we're gonna turn it back over so we can have Pastor A.J. Thompson, in his own words, tell you his experience.
Well, I want to say that, like, back to the book, I have to write this book because it was necessary. And while I'm writing it, I have to be sure that I don't write about nothing that's classified. In my everyday language, I have to be sure that I don't skip and talk about nothing that's classified. So even though it's been 1992 since I've been on a mission, things that happen on those missions are still unveiling even today. I see it every time I turn the TV on. I observe it most when 9/11 happened. I could see everything that I had been doing to help lead up to 9/11. And so when I could see that, that meant to me I had something to do with them people getting killed too.
Now, how therapeutic was this book for you, or how therapeutic is this book for you?
The therapy that it brought to me was being able to share it with other people, and since then, some people, veterans, have read it and told me it was something that happened to them too. So it have allowed me to meet some other veterans who deal with the same thing.
And has it allowed you to open up a little better and to gather better understanding for yourself?
Yeah, that's still happening. I'm still gaining more and more understanding for myself, but I'm pretty deep and pretty ahead of the game, and keeping me grounded.
Yeah, I want
because it takes some work to stay grounded when you deal with what I deal with. When you surrounded by people that don't understand you, and could always push the button at
Push
any
that
time.
button and push you over that edge
Right.
at any moment in time. And I want to say, Pastor, that I've not known you long. We just met a couple weeks ago, and I can see the grounded. I see that you have God in your life, and I know this is not a spiritual show, but I can see God in your life. I can see how He's grounded you, and then that's the one thing that you do have above and beyond everything else. And
Thank
my heart goes out to you because unlike the people in the chat room, I'm sitting here and I'm looking into your eyes and it's touching me because it does affect me because this is the country that I live in, and a lot of the things that we do, the everyday life that we have, we take for granted. And people like yourself and the men and the women that you stood next to and fought next to for our country so that we can have these freedoms. We're a big part, a huge part in I don't want to say suppressing, but helping to keep you guys locked up and not wanting to talk about the PTSD because we just don't understand. And the book is called Stranger Amongst Strangers for a reason. And I really want to touch on a really touchy subject because we only have a couple minutes left here. But there was a part in the book that really stood out to me. You were talking about a young man that was killed here in Cleveland. And the young man was ultimately, he was robbed and he was shot in the neck. And you said that had he known, because he was lied to, he was conned, and these people made it seem as though they were friends, though they were friendlies before they did what they did. But had he known that it would have been the other way around, because the man would have had to defend himself, and it would have took him to a place where it just wouldn't have been anything nice about it. And that that prompts me to ask you, how many of the brothers that you fought with, or the people that you fought with, how many of the soldiers, the armed veterans that you fought with, are still amongst and in touch with you?
Not any of them right now.
Not any of them right now, and
Yeah.
that makes it quite a bit harder.
Well, yeah, because it make it hard for me, especially my men,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel accountable for placing them in the same position that I'm in. 'Cause
Okay.
I trained them.
Okay. And what ranking were you?
What ranking was I?
Yes, sir.
Well, and like I said, in special, my primary rank was staff sergeant promotable. But in special forces, you go to whatever rank that you need to be on that mission
In any given moment.
at any
In
given
any
moment.
given moment. But once again, people, the name of the book is Stranger Amongst Strangers, and we've been talking with Pastor A.J. Thompson, and we've been talking with his wife Cheryl Thompson, and I want to thank you both very, very much. And before I let you go, because I got what? I got a couple minutes left, Sean. Okay, I want you to go ahead, and I want you to take the mic, and I want you to speak not just to me over this microphone and not to yourself on the inside, but I want you to speak and say what you need to say from your heart at this moment.
Well, first, I want to thank my parents for my success in the military because their raising helped me to grow fast and strong and get promoted fast and have a good career. Now, for the people in the community, all this killing and nonsense and violence, it breaks my heart over and over and over again. I say that because all these things and missions I went on, most of them I had an opportunity to go, and I chose to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to go so that I wouldn't come home to what I've come home to, especially in my own neighborhood. Every time there's a killing, it makes me feel like all these things me and guys like me did was a waste. I don't have none of the things that I was going on these missions for in my home. My neighbors, the people live on my streets, and streets are connecting. They killing each other like flies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, and that brings me so much pain and so much weight. And so I feel that I have to do all I can to do something about it.
Right.
And at the same time, I find myself still needing to look out for them people who doing that. I found myself still getting pissed off, if you will, about somebody not understanding the flag or disrespecting or not understanding the difference between the government and the crooks who operate the government, because those are things that I did these things for. And so it brings me great pain.
And I understand that. And Pastor AJ Thompson, I want to thank you very, very much. I want to thank you for opening your mind and opening your heart and opening your mouth and speaking out about this. And I really want to thank you for writing this book. And I want to urge everybody out there that's listening right now. I don't care where you are, where you from, or who you think you are, or where you think you may be. But the name of the book is Stranger Amongst Strangers by AJ Thompson. And if you can you tell us where we can get this at or how we can get this book?
You can get that at tphsarc.com/strangers among strangers, or you can call me at 216-543-1817, 216-543-1817.
And folks, I want to let y'all know I'm not promoting the book. I'm not promoting what he wrote. I read this book. I read this book from cover to cover, and being a child of a war veteran and having family members that are in the armed services and seeing the things that we've gone through in life, I really urge you to read this book, because I feel that we need to treat our veterans a lot better, because in the 70s they wasn't treated no better than they're being treated today. And once again, Pastor AJ Thompson, I want to thank you. Cheryl, Pastor Cheryl, I want to thank you for sitting in. And Sean, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Okay, everybody, I like to say Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. That was Pastor AJ Thompson here with us in Studio 51. We ask that everybody pick up that book, give them some love and little play of it going around. Right there, we're going to come back in a minute. We're going to come back and look at what we're reviewing. And I want everybody to know that next week we're going to be talking national issues of Trump. And Pastor, we're going to need to get you back into the studio with us one more time, if your wife will let you come back with us. And Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, we'd like to thank everybody. And Doug, it's about that time.
Fan base is big, I can't lose. Sugar bow down, I'm the next to move, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Following the rainbow down the yellow brick road, please believe at the end ain't no pie to go, just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets.
Well, Doug. Well, Doug, what you gonna say to our good people before we leave?
Hey, I want to thank y'all for listening in. I want to thank the chat room for your questions. I want to once again thank Pastor AJ Thompson and his wonderful wife, Pastor Cheryl Thompson, for coming out. Sean, I want to thank you, man, for allowing me to take the chair for a little bit and do that interview. And I want to tell the world, continue to live, love, laugh, baby.
Pastor A.J. Thompson, we'd like to thank you and your wife, Pastor Cheryl Thompson, for coming spending the evening with us, and it was an enlightenment, and the chat room is lit up, and I'm talking about they love you, and we're going to have you back. And Cheryl, Pastor Cheryl Thompson, I didn't mean to call you Cheryl. Please don't hit me in the head, but Pastor Thompson, I really, really like to appreciate everything that you've done for me when you brought me on your show and really showed me what it was to have the airways and talk to people about problems and make a change. And I'm going to offer you, when you're ready to get back into it, you got a spot right here on Stop the Madness. Keep it 100, STMK Radio 100. And to all our good people, I'd like to say thank you for joining us, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, and Instagram. And until next time, when I see you again, remember always, peace, love, and happiness.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100.